Okay, let's see. Is this working? Can you hear me? Yeah, I actually got my microphone to work. So this time we got sound. I just hope the feed is okay, because last time we had problems with the video. Well, we'll see. God damn it. I wonder how I can get it to go away. There we go. Did that fix it? Is the echo still there? I hope not. Damn. I don't know why. Like, it should be working fine. What the hell? Like, it's working fine on my end. That's weird. Okay, so this is the basic scene you have when you open Blender. So it's basically ready to render right now. And you can just press F12 and here we go. Here we have a picture of the cube. Now mine is set up so it opens the image viewer, this one, image editor. By default, Blender opens up a new window, but I don't like that. So that can be fixed if you go to Preferences and Interface, and under Temporary Windows, here Render In, change it from New Window to Image Editor. And now when you render, it renders in the image editor instead of opening a new window. Sup, Angry? How's it going? And by default, the Blender default scene has a light and a camera, which is basically what you need to get renders out of Blender. It's been fine, kind of busy. with work and stuff. Well, not much else. Just practicing ZBrush, work. With the COVID going on, there's not really much to do outside of home. So let's see, this is pretty boring, this default cube. So let's change it to something more interesting. Let's delete that, put on import, and we'll use this one. I said it already, so I just need to send it to Blender. And hope it works. Yeah, and here we go. And we don't have colors right now. And if we want to preview the colors, we need to change the viewport shading, which is up here. Right now, by default, it's set to solid. And to get colors, we need to set it to either material preview or rendered. So let's put it to preview, and there's no color. I think I've shown you this before, how to get the colors showing, but basically you just go to the materials, base color, click the little circle, go to attribute, and boom. And then you just need to add call, and there we go. Now normally you'd have to do this for all of these, all parts separately, because all of these have different materials from ZBrush. But since we don't really want to do that, we can just hide these for now because we don't need these. Then by clicking A to select everything, then Shift click on the part that has the color that you made changes, so it's active, and Control L to make link and material link, and boom. And now we actually have something to render. Now before we do, let's check the render settings, because I think, yeah, by default the new version of Blender uses Eevee, which is the new real-time render engine. But I haven't really played with it much, so I prefer to use the old Cycles one, which is like, I think it's Arnold or something in Maya. What's the renderer? Or the one Shane uses, Keyshot. So now when we click the view to rendered, we can actually see what's going on. And it looks horrible. Let's turn the light back on. So unhide everything you have hidden, Alt H. That's a little better. We'll adjust the lighting a bit. But now where's the camera? Here we go. Here's the camera. By default, the camera position is kind of not optimal, as you can see. Now, if you want to see what the camera actually going to see, you can press 0 on the numpad, and you can get to the camera view. And as you can see, that's not really a good one. So let's get out of it. And let's just reset the camera location to 0, 0, and 0. And as I'm assuming you at least know how to navigate in Blender, so I'm not explaining all the snapping I'm doing right here, all the moving and zooming. Let's reset the rotation as well. There we go. And then we need actually 90 on X. There we go. And then we place it somewhere in the middle here and check it. That's pretty good. So now basically we can test it again. We hit F12 and let it render. Now depending on your machine specs, it might take a while. This should be relatively quickly. And there we go. Not the prettiest render, but that's the basics of what you need to do. Now everything else we're gonna do is just make the lights look better, and maybe some kind of backdrop would be nice. Nothing really we can do to the model itself because OB sends the, let's change the shading. There we go. You can actually control this a little better. And as well as I was saying, CoB sends the lowest subdivision level, so the colors are kind of messed up right now. Do you have one you've been working on? What do you mean? So the first thing we're gonna do to make this better is play with the light. So basically I'm thinking just moving it somewhere here. And then we change the light settings. Now you can do it under the light object properties. And here you have 4 choices. Point, sun, spot, area. I really haven't played much with these. I just used the spotlight or the area light, depending on what kind of light I want. And the color, you can change the color of the light. Let's see if we can actually see something. Let's rotate it like so. The render in Blender. Yeah, I made the renders of the old projects I'm working on, and now what I'm doing, I'm trying to finish the hair on this model. So after that, she's done. And then I think I have a couple other models I need to finish. But mostly what I'm demonstrating right now, I learned from Scott. He showed us awesome stuff like a couple months ago. He held a lesson about rendering in Blender, all the workflow, how to get the model into Blender, how to set up the lighting, cameras, different type of lighting, all that. That was awesome stuff. Unfortunately, he did not record it. So, and after that, I've just been trying to replicate what he did, just trial and error. So let's see. I think that's a little better than we had before, but I think the light is a bit strong. And here is something that Blender does by default. There is this thing called environmental light. If we actually turn the light off, you can see there is still some light in the scene. Now, this can be useful if you want to use an HDR image to help with the lighting, but if you kind of want to make a studio light setup by yourself, you might want to turn the environmental light off. And the way to do it is under World Properties, there is this surface, background, color, and strength. Basically, you just turn this to 0 and all the light's gone. Now when you... how do you do that? How do you do what? Turn the lights off? Because I just showed you just this environmental light. Strength. From 1, change it to 0. And of course, if you want to use it, you can also just turn it down a little bit. You can turn it up. You can change the color if you want. You can add a red light. But for a studio light, I just usually turn it off. Like so. So now all the light in the scene comes from your own lights you position. So it's easier to control. Now let's just play with this a little bit. Maybe something like this. Let's check it from the camera view. I think that's pretty good for the main light. And now when we look through the camera, and especially if we render, it's gonna look pretty empty because there is no light in the background. There is only light coming from the spotlight or the area light. When people make the colored background, it's just plain with flat color on it. It can be. I'm just getting to it. So as you can see, there's just black. So that's not very nice. So like you mentioned, we wanted some color on the background. So it can be achieved with the environmental light, but then again, that affects the model also. So if I turn this up like so and turn it to like purple, and now render. Now we have kind of purple background, but as you can see, it affects the model as well. And that's not what I want. Most do that curved background, and yeah, I'm about to do that next. So let's go back to the viewport. Let's change this back to, actually, let's not yet. just turn it to white or whitish. There we go. And to get that backdrop, we just add a plane like so. Go into edit mode and we scale it up a little bit. And then just select these two and extrude somewhere here. And I think it needs to be a little wider, so scale X. Scale X. And there we go. And now we can see through the camera view that it covers the whole camera. Then we can go back to object mode. Let's change this for a little bit. And we want a nice bevel here because now it's kind of sharp. We can change the shading mode to smooth, so it kind of helps, but it's still nicer to have a bevel here. So we go to modifiers, add a modifier and bevel. And then just change the settings a bit so it looks nice. There we go. Why curve it? Do you mean like this is not straight, like vertical? I think it's just preference, I don't know. I think this is how Scott showed it, if I'm not completely mistaken. Mm, I guess I guess the edge, it doesn't really matter. It depends on the camera view. If you look at the camera and you don't have the bevel here, and let's add some color to it quickly. So new material, new, and let's make it cool blue. So now, depending on the light, how the light hits the backdrop, if the crease here is visible in the camera, it might create some add artifacts in the render, kind of weird shadows or something. So I think it just looks a little smoother if you bevel it. But if you position the camera so it's above the line where the crease is, so then it just doesn't matter. Beveling the edge, get rid of the harsh edge in the render so as not to make it look like room. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's turn it back on like so. So now when we turn the environment light back off, and there we go. And now we can try rendering again. And there we have it, the nice colored backdrop without the environmental light affecting the model. All the light is controlled by your lights in the scene, so you can control it without getting any strangeness going on. Using the shadow is now software transition. Yeah. And of course, you can tweak the shadows by tweaking the lights. And there we go. Now I think the main light is pretty good. We might want to add some kind of rim light over here. And let's tweak these a little bit first. Now, as you can see, when we are on the rendered mode, this is pretty grainy when we move around because it's constantly rendering. And it can be pretty heavy on your machine. So in the camera view, we can make it so it only renders the camera by clicking Control B and then drawing a rectangle. And there we go. Now we only render what we want to. We can just make it smaller also if we want to render like only the head, like so. So you can test the materials, test the lighting, and it's not so heavy on the machine. So Fantasy Small, I love everything about Soul. Thanks, Henry. It's still not undone. It's not done yet. I still need to finish the hair. Printing, yeah, that's coming at some point. I'm gonna print these out. I still need to prep all those and watch Shane's tutorials on the prep the models, and I tried printing one of them during the winter. I don't remember, before Christmas, but that didn't go so well. It's too cold here during the winter, and it doesn't play well with the resin and all that stuff. So I kind of left it be. So now I need to prep those models and try it again, get the settings right. So anyway, now we have this small preview window, and okay, now we can see the whole model. But if you go back to the camera view, this is all we see. So to delete this, just click Alt and B. Nope. What the hell was it? Shift Control B? Oh god damn it. Alt Control B. That's the one. So now we can see everything again. Yeah, you can see it's been like a couple weeks since I last did this, so okay, now if we want to change the shadows, we can do that by changing the size of the shadow softbox. So this is basically like putting a softbox in front of the light in traditional photography. So if we increase this to, let's say, 1, you can see the shadow just gets softer. But maybe we want some detail on it, so 0.5. Let's go with something like that. And the power controls the intensity of the light, so if we turn this to 0, there's no light, obviously. So we just want to find a good balance. I think it was pretty good at 1000 for now. Why? back up your printer, huh? Moving to Florida. That's nice. Where was I? Right. Now we want to add another light. So easiest way to do that is just duplicating this. So let's go to the top view and Shift D to duplicate it, and let's just put it somewhere here. It's not the new epicenter for beer. Florida? Really? And rotate this like so. And if you want to see what the lights are doing by themselves, you can just go to the other light and turn it off. So you can see what this light does by itself. Let's move it back a little bit, rotate it like so. And I think it creates a nice rim on the leg and the hair. Epicenter of no more winter. Yeah, I hate winter. Here is fucking cold during the winter. Excuse me, French. Summers are pretty nice though. So maybe we want to change the color of this one a little bit, give it a little yellowish tint like so. I think that's pretty good. Let's see, let's turn on the main light. There we go. And let's see if we turn this off and back on again. I think it's pretty nice for the purpose we're doing. Okay, let's see what we have here. All grown-ups. Yeah, pretending. That's exactly right. And I think it's starting to look pretty okay. I mean, yeah, we can tweak the lights more, but for the purpose right now, I think it's pretty good. So now, when we're happy with the lights, we need to play with the render settings. That's it. Damn, I'm way too tired for this. And as you can see, it's pretty grainy right now, especially in the shadowy areas, and that's not nice. So let's fix that. And of course, we can go into the render settings and up this sample amount. The more samples you put, the better the render is gonna be, but obviously the longer it's gonna take. So let's just try hitting 200. That's good for now. and we want to check the lighting. Oh, right. This is a nice little trick inside Blender. If you want to see if your lights are too strong or too weak, you can go to the render settings and color management. Under here, there is this view transform, which is by default set to filmic, which is the correct one you should be using when you render. But for this trick, we want to change it to false color. And boom, it's done. Ship it. So here you can check your color, not color, lighting. So if I pick this light and crank up the intensity like to 5000, and now you can see the other side of the model turn to orange. And if we go back to the normal, we can see it's kind of overexposed, especially in the ear. We can't really make anything out there. So this is a nice way to judge your lighting. So if I remember correctly, this is from Blender Guru. Around greenish or bluish should be the correct shade you want. If there is too little light, I think it goes yet blue. So this is too little. And around greenish, this should be good. And when we're happy, we go to Filmic. And another trick from Blender Guru is this look here. By default, it's set to none, but according to him, that's more like a low contrast or something. And he always puts it to high contrast, which just kicks the colors a little bit. If you can see the difference in the colors. Yeah, definitely. So this is a nice trick to do also. And let's change the resolution, maybe to 48 by, there we go. And by changing this, you can see the camera view size changed. So now we need to reposition it. Maybe we want to zoom in a little bit. So move it closer. Let's just do this first. Maybe something like this. And let's check the focus length 50. I think Shane said this should be somewhere around 50 to 80. Again, I have no idea. I'm just following what Scott tells me to do, basically. So for the new renders I made, I think I put this around 70. And then we adjust this again. Something like that. Is it kind of in the middle? Yeah. I just might be putting KeyShot aside. Yeah, I haven't used KeyShot, but what I heard from Scott again, from the test he's done, this is pretty good alternative. We don't question why. Well, yes and no. At first, you can do what you've been told to do, but at some point, you really should question why, because otherwise, you don't really learn anything. You just follow command. So, maybe the light is a bit too dark now, because in the camera view, we can see the shading going up here. So let's maybe tweak this a little bit. And this is something you can do with the spotlight. If you click on this small yellow circle, you can move the light. So you can basically aim it where you want. If I want this to aim at the cheek right there, it makes positioning the light a bit easier. Let's see. Maybe the gradient is nice up there. And let's take a look. This shouldn't take too long. I hope. But I think it's looking a little better already. At least the colors are looking better. Angle of the, yeah. If I was actually doing the final render on this, I definitely tweak that. But right now I'm just trying to show how you can get these renders on. And as you can see, there's still a lot of noise here. It's a little better than before, but not that much. So Blender 2.8 has a nice little feature. I'm not sure if it's from the 2.81 or is it in 2.83, but basically, let's stop this render by hitting ESC. We don't need to finish. Let's go back to the viewport. Basically, in the render settings, there is this viewport denoising, and by default it's set to none, but you want to switch it to AI accelerated. And actually, let's turn on some ambient occlusion, if I remember where that was. Where the hell? Here we go. Under the view layer properties and passes, here's ambient occlusion. You want to turn this on, but there is also another ambient occlusion. Where the hell is it? Because this is the one you do not want to use. Oh, come on. Yeah, I can't find it now. Anyway, it's here somewhere. There's another ambient occlusion you can turn on. I just can't remember where it is right now. But that's something you don't want to turn on because it makes the model look weird. Oh, for the love of me, where the hell is it? It's off by default. So you need to turn it on. But for the love of me, I can't find it right now. Well, it doesn't matter because you don't want to turn it on. That's the point. So this is the one you want. And by itself, it doesn't do anything. So when you turn it on, it's kind of misleading because it doesn't look like it did anything. Render sampling. Yeah, I thought too, but it's not here, or I'm just blind. Anyway, let's move on. So now when we turn that on, we also want to turn on denoising. I'm not sure about this one. Only shows up in Eevee. Yeah, that could be. But that's the one you don't want to use. Let's leave it like that. But yeah, turn this on, and in the same passes, you want to turn here ambient occlusion. Damn, Pokemons, yeah. What? Wait, what? Never mind. So now we need to actually render the whole thing. So this might take a while. And we can already see that it actually didn't do anything. Well, a little bit, but it's still kind of noisy. So that's the funny thing about the new denoising. Actually, I think you're supposed to leave this off. I found a third AO. Yeah, Some of it looks better, yeah. Yeah, but it's not supposed to at this point, because yeah, this is still kind of bad. Well, we'll see. Because the new denoising, it doesn't work on the render. You have to use the compositor. If you open the other one, it's here, this one. And at first you can't see anything, you're just like, what the hell? But you need to press this use nodes. It's not as grainy. Yeah, it's not, but it's supposed to be. Because the new denoising uses this to get rid of the noise. So let's just wait a bit more. Where are we? 66%. 1 minute. That's not bad. Because the new denoising is kind of a post-process thing. So you need to add nodes here to make it work. But for that we need to get the render done. And this is the most boring part of rendering. Just waiting. Nodes. Yeah, definitely agree. Like when there's like 2 or 3 like this, it's simple, but when you're actually trying to make some cool effect or something, it can just get like real crazy. And there we go. Mhm. Actually, I think the denoising did a pretty good job, which is kind of weird. I'm just gonna turn that off because that's the wrong one. But basically how it's supposed to work is you need to add here this denoise node. And we connect it like so. And it should denoise the image, but right now it's already denoised. So let's try this again. Actually, I think I'm gonna drop this. To 1024. That's a bit faster. So we hit F12 again and render. And of course I forgot to reposition the camera. So anyway, doesn't matter. And this is kind of what I was expecting. And now let's hope that the post-process denoising works. Or I'm gonna have to go back to look at my notes on how to do this. And boom, it actually does. Because if we connect this one, we can see this is the original image. like it's real noisy here. And with this we can just put it here and it gets rid of the noise. Now, if we want the ambient occlusion showing, we need to add it also here. It looks about the same as the checkbox denoise, though. Yeah, I thought so too. 'Cause, I'm not really sure what's going on there because this is the way Blender Guru showed how it's supposed to be done, and this is using the new one. So I'm not sure how this relates, but if you click this, here is the same AI accelerated denoising option as here. Viewport. So I'm not really sure what's going on. But let's get the ambient occlusion showing. So for that we need to add a mix. There we go. And we want to mix the image and the ambient occlusion. And set the mode to multiply. There you go. It's the same thing everywhere, making Blender too complicated. Yeah, definitely. Like all this is new from the 2.7. Like I needed to relearn like almost everything. So now if we want to preview this, we can check like this is no ambient occlusion and this is full. Really nice. But I think I don't want that much. Maybe something like that. And there we go. So this is basically the I guess I can't really say anymore the real basics of the basics how to get the renders out of Blender. But pretty simple still, kinda. Mm, what else can we do with this? Of course, when you're happy with the lighting and the cameras and everything, the render settings, you can go into tweaking the materials. And right now everything is linked because in the beginning we made the material links. So if I change this, like turn it to metallic, everything changes. And depends on what you want to do, that might be a good idea or might not. If you want to keep the materials consistent, like everything is the same, that's good. But if you want to change something, for example, the glasses, you want to make the rims look metallic, or the earrings, you want them to be a little less glossy, a little shinier, and the fabric be different from the skin and stuff like that, then you really don't want the material links. But then you need to go through every piece you have and change the material attributes. So that's something you want to do when you're making the final render. Not really something I want to do right now. I can try just with this real quick. If I remember how to disable the link. No, just like that. And now we need to add the attribute back and remember to add. There we go. And maybe I don't want it to be metallic, maybe a little less rough. Turn on the specular a bit. Let's make the ball transparent actually, and the chain metallic. So for that we need two materials. So we need to add one. We can do it by pressing the plus and new. And let's make this one the metallic, like so. And we want to add the attribute here too, so we can get the color, like so. And as you can see, nothing changed. That's because we need to assign the materials. So right now, every vertex in the earring is assigned to the Go-B material, and we don't want that. So we go into edit mode, and we select everything we want to be the metal, and we click assign. And now we go back to the object mode, and as you can see a little bit, let's put the rendered mode. Let's turn down the roughness a little bit. There we go. So now this metallic is assigned to the chain, and the Go-B earring is assigned to the ball, and we can change it to transparent by so. Now, if you want to tweak the transparency, you can do it by changing the IOR value. So if you want to make something realistic, you need to go online and look for the IOR values of different materials. I think glass was somewhere near this. I think it's a little less than the default value. Maybe try something like that. I think it's got a little more clear. I don't know. But that's basically how you can tweak the materials to get the different look for the clothes, the skin, the hair, accessories. And then we just go back and render it again. And now that we have this compositor set up, Blender runs this process automatically after it's done rendering. So we really don't need this anymore if we don't want to change anything here. So first it's going to render, and then it's going to run the AO mixing and the denoising after that. And now if we go look at the earring, okay, we need to up the resolution to see anything, but yeah, that's not really, well, it's a bit shiny, maybe, but yeah. And we could do the same for the table. We could change the legs to be metallic and the wood and all that, but not gonna do that now. Yeah, that's kind of, if you want just quick testing, you need to set the render resolution and settings pretty low, but then this is the result. And then when you're happy, then just turn up the render samples and turn up the resolution, and then you most likely need to reposition the camera. Mm. As far as the render samples go, of course you can go as high as you want, like 10,000, but I don't really want to know how long this would take to render. And at some point, it really makes no difference. Like, I haven't tried how high I would need to go to get this clear. I think the denoising does a pretty good job at 200. I could go to 300, but I don't see any point to that. So yeah, that's basically what I did to get those new renders out of Blender. Pretty simple. So, did you have something you want to ask? That's awesome, really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. No problem. Happy to help. And this is like real basic stuff for real. If you really want to see some good tutorials on this stuff, go to YouTube, look for Blender Guru, or just beg for Scott to make a tutorial, or just wait for Shane's. I'm just following all those guys. How do you get the final image out? Oh, right. That's pretty simple. Let's go back to the image editor. So here we have the image we rendered, and now we want it out. So we just go to image and save. And we just save, give it a name, and save it somewhere. Let's put it to desktop. And there we go. And let me see if I can find it. And here we go. Simple as pie. Right, you asked how to get that split screen setup Blender Guru had. So like I said, 2.8 doesn't have those triangles anymore. Well, kinda does right here. But you just basically stop saying simple, it's not simple. Um, okay. So you go up here, you can see the cursor changing. So then you just right click and you get these area options. And then you just select which one you want to do and position it correctly and done. And if you want to get rid of it, you can just click it, join areas, and then you can select which one gets overridden, like so. And Blender is awesome in that every view you have can be changed to everything. Like these are not set. I can set this scene view here. I can just select properties and now I have this here. So you can customize the view however you want. You can have like a million different windows, which is not really a good idea, but you could do it. Let's see, what else I want to do this. Mm, you need a million monitors. Mm, not really. You can just keep splitting this, like vertical split. Let's split this one horizontal. Let's split this one like so. But at some point, this is kind of pointless. And I think there was a way to get this back to default, but I'm not sure what it was. So I'm just gonna have to. You can basically join these by. You should be just. Oh come on, work! God damn it! Yeah, this. I think this was easier in the old version. You just drag between the lines or the small triangle. You can join and split these up. I think this is kind of. You have to go here and join these, but come on, go like this. I think there is another way, but I just can't remember it. Like so. So what Blender Guru did, nice thing in Blender is you can have different settings for each view. Even if the view is basically the same, I can change this one to be rendered, and I don't want the full render, so I'm gonna use Control B to get that camera view. And now that is gonna sit here, and I can resize it a little bit and hide everything. I can hide the overlays like so, hide everything like so. So now I have only the rendered view here. And if I want to do something, I can do it in the other window. And anything I change here, like if I change this light color to, let's say, green, you can see the effect here. So this is pretty nice. Let's go back to white. Yeah, there is these different modes you can kind of pick. It changes the viewport layout. There is this rendering, which is it's not. I think I've messed with this and kind of ruined it. But when you go through these, everyone has a different layout, kind of depending what it's for. So then if you wanna make your own, you can just click new, or you can change these and make your own. And then you can use this one. You want your modeling the model. And then when you're done, or you just want to make a quick render, and you don't want to start splitting this up and everything, you can just say, change this here. And then we can also do this and change this to image editor. So now we have kind of rendering here, and if we press render, it starts rendering it here. So we can see the render, we can see the preview, and then we can see the actual model in the viewport. Rendering is gonna destroy my computer. Yeah, it takes a bit much. Well, depends how high you set the resolution. And I don't think it's gonna destroy it. It's just gonna take longer. Like I have, how many cores do I have going? I think 16 or something, maybe. So, and of course, you can change the render settings if you want to use the CPU or the GPU, depending on your specs. Um, I haven't tried this that much, but I think my CPU is slightly faster than GPU. Because if I try it now, like there is just one cube going beep 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 beep. Yeah, not gonna wait that. And one other thing you want to take a look at is, where the hell is it? Here, under render settings and performance, this tile size. Depending on if you're rendering on CPU or GPU, you should change this. For Blender Guru did the testing on this. Let's see if I should have the image somewhere saved. Here. So he did a bunch of testing on different resolution on CPU and GPU. And as you can see, the tile size really affects the render time depending on which one you're using. So Since I'm using CPU most of the time, I keep my tile size pretty low. Well, actually, if you see this, it should be 32 or 16. I have it at 64, so I should change it to 32, like so. And then if I want to render with my GPU, I should put it somewhere around 512. So this is a good thing to keep in mind. Holy crap. Yeah, I didn't think this actually mattered that much, but I was like, what the hell? When I was looking that video, it's like, okay. Like, there's like million little things you can tweak here, like the light bounces and everything to optimize the render time. Like, depending what you're doing, you might not need transparency at all. You might not need glossy. You can turn these down. You can turn the total bounces down, and that cuts down the render times. But so far, I haven't really seen any need to tweak these. I just leave those be because I have no idea where I'm going with these. Mm. I think that's pretty much it for the. I don't want to say basic again because Ami's gonna get angry at me, but basically after you have everything set up and you want to make the final render, you obviously don't want to use the low poly mesh. So now all this should be done with the low poly because it just works better. With the high poly, if it has millions of polygons, Blender's not gonna like that very much. So, and it depending on your machine, it might be really slow. So when you're happy, basically what you need to do is go into ZBrush, change everything to high, and then go through every subtool and go to delete lower through every one of these. And this can, depending on how many you have, like I have 39, it might take a while, but then when that's done, you can just hit send visible again. And the nice thing is that Blender remembers everything you did, and it's just gonna replace the low poly with the high poly. And I hope this doesn't take too long or the machine doesn't crash. Blender not responding. That's about right. When I was sending those renders I did, that was like how many million polygons? At least 10 or something. That took something like maybe 10 to 15 minutes to actually send it to Blender. Can you save your current settings for rendering? Yeah, you can. You can just save this. Let's see. Ah, there we go. No, yeah, no, still going. I'm gonna show you when this actually stops thinking. But I'm not sure if you can save these settings by themselves. You can save the blend file. So then when you open the blend file, all the settings are the same. And if you want to use a different model, you can just swap out the model. Mm, Technically, there should be a way to save those settings. Because there is. Come on. You can save the default file that Blender opens every time. For example, I haven't done it in the new version, but the old version, my default file was I deleted everything in the scene. I deleted the light and the camera and the cube, so it was just empty. So every time I opened Blender, there was nothing in it. So I didn't have to go through deleting all those if I didn't need them. So I guess basically you could just open a new Blender file and then tweak the settings and save that as the default file. That might work, but I haven't tried that, so I can't be sure. Come on, I didn't change that much. How many million it's trying to push? That's only like 250, that's 1 million. Oh man, what the freak? Okay, so it's like 12 million or something. Yeah, that might take a while. Shit. Oh man, why the hell is that 8 million? It shouldn't take hours, maybe 10 minutes. Oh god. And the downside of using Gobi is you can't really stop it. Because now it's thinking you can hit escape, and at some point it's just gonna ask you wanna terminate Blender, and then everything's gone. And you might not wanna do that. So basically, you just have to wait. And sometimes it might look like it's not doing anything. Like I said, it's gonna take maybe 10 to 15 minutes for me sometimes, depending on the amount of polish. And I'm like, okay, it's crashed, like it's not gonna work. But then I just leave it and do something else for a little bit, and then after 15 minutes, it's done. I'm like, oh, worked. It just took a little while. Maybe Gobi broke since I updated Blender. I still have no idea how you managed to do that. I mean, I just upgraded to the newest version of Blender. I think it's 2.83 and installed the Gobi, and everything is working perfectly. I have no idea how you're having so much trouble with it. Oh, come on. I don't want to sit here all night. So, you have any other questions you want to ask? I might answer while we wait, because this might take a while. And like I said, can't cancel it. So, we're along for the ride. It's gonna be a bumpy one. Man, I kind of agree what Shane said in some of his streams. He's not used to streaming. Some time ago, it was like some old stream. But it's kind of weird just sitting there talking to himself. I get that feel. Oh, there we go. What the hell? Let's not zoom there. YouTube doesn't like that. Luckily, we're not on YouTube. So now we have the, come on, man, high poly version, and the colors are nice. And we can hit render. And since everything's set, we don't need to change anything. And like I said, this should be around, yeah, 20 million triangles right now. And it's moving fine. But if I actually make the mistake of going into edit mode right now, it's gonna cry. It's gonna cry bad. And of course, now the rendering is gonna take a bit longer because it has more polys to take into account. Mm, the hell is the word? I'm blanking out here. Anyway, streaming text, I'm getting used. Yeah, no shit. Like during the, well, it wasn't really a stream that Scott did. It was, I think we ended in Hangouts, doing a Hangouts call or something. There was like Scott and Shane and Sean. I think Donna was there and a couple others. And in there, you could actually talk with each other. So it wasn't just Scott, well, most of the time because he was teaching, but we could ask questions, like really ask and not just type stuff in. So it was like more of conversation and not just talking to yourself. But yeah, so that's basically the process you go through when you want to get nice renders done in Blender for the models you have modeled in ZBrush. So I would go through all the subtools, change them to high, delete, lower subdivision levels, and send everything into Blender. And like I said, the nice thing about Kobe, it's going to replace the low poly version with the high poly. And everything is ready, so you don't have to do anything, you just hit render. Yeah, I've been streaming for 2 years and can get quiet. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really loving the sound of my own voice that much. Oh, right. One thing you need to keep in mind. I'm not singing. Yeah, you don't want me to sing. No, I mean, really, you don't want me to sing. I don't think I changed this into the high poly. But anyway, if you make the different materials for different objects, that's fine. It like if I had the skin set up, probably it would use that material. But if I would do this earring right now, I would have to go into edit mode again and assign all these vertices again because the number changes and Blender goes all confused at which one's which. So you have to go through this again, selecting everything you want to be a certain material and assign to it. I think this one assign. For example, I think at least one of the models I did, I put two different materials on the skin. So I had one for the skin and one for the eye. I wanted to make the eyes a little more glossy. So I did that on the low poly version and previewed it. It looks fine. And then when you send in the high poly, you have to go there again. And like I said, when I do this, bam, that's nice. So let's change the clipping distance on this one. Put a zero there. There we go. You can actually see something. Okay, this is in the way. Control I, hide everything. There we go. So depending on your topology, this can be easy or it can be really difficult. Because, looks like here I have the edge loops going nicely. So I can just go through these like so and select the ones I want. And Blender is crying at the moment, but we are going to ignore that. There we go. Add a new and assign. There we go. And of course you need to do it for both eyes because it's not symmetrical, so it can't be mirrored. So here we go again, attribute and color. And maybe we want this roughness to be 0.2 or something, make it a little bit more specular. The hell? Oh right, I hit the lights and everything. Unhide. And it started crying. What the hell did I do now? That's interesting. That's really interesting. Come on. Yeah, this is why you need to have everything done when you send the high poly in, because now when you change the render modes or do anything that causes Blender to calculate something, it's gonna take longer. change this a bit higher. I think we can see the difference in the eye, maybe a little bit. But that's something, little something you can do. And there we go. And then when we send everything, we have the high poly. Just hit F12 and render the image. And since everything is set up, already denoising, ambient occlusion, everything set up, then just image save. Done. No one wants me to either. I don't want. Then why the hell do you sing? You don't want yourself to sing while you do it. I'm kind of running out of ideas what to show here. Feel the silence, yeah. Let's see. Mm, let's go with that one. Uh, a nice little thing you can do if you want to make renders of this from different angles. Otherwise, I move and get back to streaming. Seems like we'll be able to play more music anymore. DMZ. Yeah, like all that DMCA and all copyright stuff. That just I haven't looked really into it, so that's why I don't have any music show playing or anything. And especially on YouTube, all the new regulations and everything that's just going nuts. I'm angry to sing for you. I'm not sure I want to. If he doesn't want to hear himself sing, I'm not sure I want to hear that. Yeah, so the different angles. Like if you saw the new renders I did, it has kind of couple like this, one full image in the front and one close-up. And then there was kind of from up like this and different angles. So for that I used different kind of lighting. Actually I used the environment lighting because I wanted even light. So I disabled all my lights, turned the environment light up, and I think I had one light in the front on really low intensity. But basically how you can easily do it is you add empty with plane axis like so, and then you just, if you want the light and the camera to turn, you just select these and then not that one, select the empty. Come on, go away. Not that either. This one. God damn it. And then just Shift P and make parent and keep object transform as so. And now we can disable this for now. So now when we rotate this, the camera moves. So you can position it how you want, like so. Turn back on, but of course now the backdrop doesn't match. So you have to adjust that. And something I did actually created kind of container or something. Actually, I can maybe just show that. Let's save this. Just a sec. Can you attach the backdrop to the camera somehow? Yeah, basically the same as I did to the camera and the light. But again, depending on your light, what you want to achieve, it might work or it might not. Like I tried that, but it didn't work out quite nicely because when you have everything set up in the front like this, let's zero this, like this, the lights are all set up nicely, and then you rotate the camera and the light and the backdrop, the lights all go out of whack. Rotate might work. Yeah, it might. But basically what I did, let's see if I can open, I just did. Mm, This might take a sec to open because this is the high poly version I used to render, so it might take a minute or two. But this is basically what I ended up doing to get the nice even renders, the nice even lighting, and using the rotation trick to get the different angles. If it just would load anytime soon. Maybe not. Come on, Blender, you can do it. I believe in you. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. Is this the correct one? Yes, it is. So this is the setup I just did, like so. But the other one, let's disable these, looks like this. And disable these lights, we don't need these. We just want that one light. Okay, it's not that one. Okay, it looks like this is some old version. But anyway, this is basically what I did. And then just with the environment light on like so. I don't want this. Why is this material here? Let's use some nodes. Amy loves those. So, shader editor, add texture, Voronoi, color. So, assign and change the scale to 250. Damn! Maybe we don't want those colors, so let's add color ramp. And there we go, much better. Now let's change this to like so. Come on. And there we have the camera view, like so. And now when we select the empty and rotate it, we can just rotate it however we want. And there, and the light rotates with it, and the backdrop is the same everywhere. And then we just rotate it like that. If we're happy with that, click render, wait it out, save it out, rotate again, rinse and repeat. Confetti. Yeah, I didn't like that colored, so the color ramp does nice trick to make it black and white, some grays in it. I think it wasn't this dense when I made the render. I don't remember the exact settings I have, but I think when you position the camera correctly, like so, bring it out a little bit. The hell? Alright, the rotation is out of whack. There we go. Like so. And then you get the nice up angle shot. And then tweak just the background a little bit to get that Voronoi to look a bit nicer up here. And that's really easy way to get some kind of texture, because I think if you do this with just plain color, just looks kind of bland. So you can go however deep you want with this. Like go back to the shader editor, and instead of Voronoi you could do noise texture or some image. If you have some kind of texture you want to use, like bricks or something. Mm, I have no idea actually what this does. Let's try. Look at that. Well, that's kind of nice. Well, on the floor, but I think the UVs are kind of going out of whack on the walls. That's interesting effect. Yeah, all kind of little tricks you can do. It's new wave on the sides. Yeah, I have no idea why it's doing that. turn this to black. Black and white, black and red. What the hell? Why is it not red? Oh, right, the color ramp. Obviously. Let's preview that. There we go. Oh, right. This little thing. This is a real nice tool. When you work with nodes, you really want to go into the preferences and turn on Node Wrangler add-on. It just makes this so much easier. Like this preview thing, you can just shift control click on any of these nodes and you can see the preview what that node does. And then just delete that and get back to the actual. I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about rendering in Blender. At least the, once again, basics. Don't hit me, Amy. So anything else you want to ask? Nothing for now, probably not actually. Yeah. Yeah, you can ask and I can explain it again. I'm not sure did I actually record this or not. If I did, I could always upload it to YouTube, but I might not. I'm just trying to think if there's something I'm forgetting. Right. You asked about saving the render settings, Amy. I think it was Amy. Well, I was talking about the saving the default file. You can go to the defaults, and here is the save startup file. You just click this. I don't want to do it right now because if I do that, it's gonna save this, like this, everything I have going on here. So if you want to have the default file, let's open a new one, this one. And then you just want to tweak the render settings, change this to, actually, let's try this. If I now save startup file, yes. Now go to new, don't save. Maybe actually see if something happens. Change those and then go to new. And yeah, save the cycles and if probably everything you do here, it saves. So that's how you can save the render settings you're happy with. But slight warning on that, because not all renders are created equally. You might have to tweak the settings, maybe not on every project you do, but at least the lights. You might not want to save the same by default. The settings might be, well, mostly the resolution might be something you change. But other than that, I guess you could save the render settings and then just you need to tweak the camera and the lighting. Just get it up and going, not having to set it all up every time again. Yeah, that's good. Like I said, mine old startup files like this, I deleted everything like so. So it was like empty. And right now it seems my startup file is with cycles. But if you're not happy with it, you can always go to factory settings and you get everything back, and everything is back to how it was. And then you can tweak it again, make it however you want, go to defaults and save the startup file. I hope I did not screw some settings I set some time ago. I just don't remember. Well, such is life. Well, I guess that's that. Yeah, no problem. So if you don't have any other questions, I guess I'm just gonna sign out. Now go play with Blender. Try make nice with it. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it seems I did mess something up. My Kobe button here just disappeared. Oh, fucking. Oh, oh, for the love of. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go hit my head on the wall. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. That's why you really want to be aware of what settings you save. Hmm. I wonder what. I think it just reset the preferences here. I hope. Let's see. Yeah, because here it's rendering new window like I showed. I changed it to image editor. Oh, God damn it. Hmm. I think there might be a way to get those back. Because first time I opened this, it asked if I want to import the settings from the old Blender version. So I wonder if I can do it again. I don't know. I need to look into that. Real nice. Well, that's what you get. Yeah, so I'm gonna start tweaking my settings again to get it back to normal. And Amy, you have fun making renders and ask me if there's something troubling you. Yeah, it's not your fault. I pressed the button. I did it myself. I think well, Blender is nice because every version is separate, like Zebras. So worst case scenario, I need to uninstall this one and re-download it. And then when I open it first time, it's gonna ask again if I want to import those settings, and I just say yes, and it goes back to where it was before. I hope. Yeah. So I'm gonna go try that. So see ya. Lot of stuff. I can't remember. That's the problem. Because I did exactly what I explained. I picked the import settings options. I tweaked a hell of a lot of settings in the old version, which was like 3, 4 years ago when I was customizing it to my liking. And then when I got this new version, I just imported the settings, so I have no idea what settings I actually changed and what I did not. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go take a look. Bye for now.